Welcome to the Four Bells, and here we are doing workout from home number 95 and the beginning of our newest 6-week cycle. Our next 6 weeks is going to be focusing on not only squatting patterns, a lot of squats, but also most importantly squat mobility. So for those of you out there who have a great squat already, you can hang out in the bottom of a squat with no problem. There's still going to be stuff for you to do. We're still going to work on mobility work there. But for those of you who really struggle to get into those deep squat positions, we are hoping to see a marked improvement over the next 6 weeks. So what are we going to start off with today? We're going to start off with a nice squat day. It's going to give us an idea of kind of what our benchmark is. For those members who are in the gym, signed up for our Zoom classes or our regular memberships, you guys will be getting more information about squatting homework and mobility drills that you can be doing in your downtime while you're watching Netflix like the rest of us. So today, how are we going to start us off for our leg day? We are going to be starting off with 3 things to get us ready for our squat strength work. We start off with a simple squat hangout. In my opinion, one of the most easy ways to address lower body mobility. From there, we're going to look at down dog toe touches. We get to look at flexibility through not only the upper body, but most importantly, the posterior chain today, and look at thoracic rotation. And then from there, one of, in my opinion, well, to put it simply, what I consider to be a very average strength tool, but a very fantastic diagnostic tool, the overhead squat. So we are going to do these 3 things 3 times in the warm-up today. Squat hangouts. It's simple. We get ourselves ready, and we come down into our squat hangout position. So there's plenty of drills we do here at the gym. We could talk about internal and external rotation of the hip. We play around with ankle dorsiflexion. We play around with thoracic positioning. But before we get into all that, you can just hang out in a squat for 30 seconds. Ideally, we've got the heels down. Ideally, we've got the knees tracking in line with the toes. Hips as low as we can. If you want to play around with keeping the chest up, that's cool. But we're just going to hang here for 30 seconds and see what our body is telling us. Do you feel like the ankles hurt a lot? Can you feel like fire traveling up your shin? Do your knees ache? Do your hips ache? Pay attention to what's happening, because hopefully over the next 6 weeks, we are going to feel and see an improvement. With the down dog toe touch, you can do a really good job at focusing on what parts of mobility you want to focus on depending on the workout. If it's an upper body day, you can focus a lot on what the upper body is doing. And if it's a lower body day like we have here at the Four Bells today, then you can focus on the lower body. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at trying to drive our heels down and really try and stretch the calf and the hamstring, as well as looking at that rotation in the thoracic spine. I have the hands below the shoulders, knees below the hips. I dig the toes in, and we're up into that downward facing dog position. So I'm actively trying to push those heels down, stretch the hamstring, and from there, right hand touches left toe, left hand touches right toe, and we are going from side to side for 10 reps. If you want to rotate more, look to the wall, you certainly can. 10 reps of a down dog toe touch. The overhead squat is a fantastic diagnostic tool because it tells us all about our mobility from nose to toes. How well do the shoulders move? What's your spinal extension like? How do your hips move? Your knees, your ankles? All of the joints need to move well to have a good overhead squat. So how do we get to a good starting position? Using a PVC pipe or a broomstick, I put it into the crease of my hip, I extend my arms out until my elbows are locked out, and then from there, we bring it overhead. If I look straight up, PVC pipe should be there. I'm going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, set my feet up for a squat. I descend down as low as possible, hang out for a full second, and then we stand back up. So making sure that when we're doing this, you're going to find that the full body needs to work together. I see a lot of people doing like weird, new, crazy squat stances. We don't need to do that. Just trying to make sure we get as low as we possibly can for 10 reps. Today's strength piece has 4 sets. Each set is 4.5 minutes long, and that 4.5 minutes is split into 3 90-second windows of time. In each of those 90 seconds, we're going to be working for half of it, 45 seconds. Then we have 45 seconds to transition onto the next exercise. So the first exercise we start with today is alternating pistol squats. In my opinion, kind of like the de facto body weight movement for showing control through the body, stability, balance, squatting strength on one leg, and most importantly, mobility. Your ability to have active ranges of motion and control in a single leg squat. From there, we're going to get into the Cossack Squat. Again, looking at squatting patterns, but now moving through the frontal plane side to side, we have to consider groin flexibility and medial hamstring flexibility as well. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Last but not least, we're going to do some work. We've done a lot of work for the front of the legs, the anterior aspect of the legs. We're now going to look at the posterior part of the legs, looking at either some hamstring curls of some kind, or if that's not available to you, it could be some kind of Romanian deadlift. Either way, all three of these are going to be done for 45 seconds on, 45 seconds off, and if we can, we're going to play around with making each set more challenging as they go. So when it comes to pistol squat, as I've kind of talked about a lot over the weeks and months that we've been doing pistol squats here in our workouts from home, the pistol squat is, in my opinion, the de facto movement for lower body squatting strength because it requires balance, stability, strength enough to squat my entire body weight on one leg, but also the most important part, in my opinion, which is mobility. My ability to control the full range of motion of all of the closing and the opening of those three joints in the lower body, the hip, the knees, and the ankle. So of course, when we're at home and we're trying to build to pistol squats, to put it as simply as possible, you have to find ways to make it really challenging for yourself. So I'll probably say the most two common ways we see them done at home are people sitting back onto a chair or a box or their couch, and then the second is maybe holding onto a post or a door frame. So sitting back onto a box or a chair or a couch is fine, but what we need to think about is that one, I'm still looking like I'm squatting. So if I'm squatting with two legs, I still initiate with the hips first, and then I pull those hips down. The rules are the same if I'm doing a pistol squat and I'm doing it at home. Sit the hips back, and maybe we come down to the box, and from there, I'm driving up. So that box height might be super easy for you, so it's your job to try and find lower and lower and lower surfaces. That may even mean making a precarious stack of books and then just trying to get rid of a book or two as we go. Of course, from there, if we're then looking to use a post or a door, all we're looking to do is like I'm a little monkey climbing a pole. I want to set my foot up maybe about a foot's length away from the door or the post that I'm using. As I come down, I'm just going to use the hands just enough to assist me. If I feel like I'm falling backwards, use the hands a lot, but ideally it's just enough to help me stand up, and we're not turning this into a chin-up and a pistol squat. Cossack squats. We are going to set our feet up nice and wide. So the thing to remember with the Cossack squat is that when I'm going from side to side alternating is that one leg should still look like a bodyweight squat, which means I should have all of my weight on one leg, hamstring covers the calf, and we're trying to get as low as possible. So when I initiate my Cossack squat, first of all, you might need to play around with foot stance. So it might be too wide, might be a little bit too narrow, so you've got to play around with it. I'm going to shift the weight across. When the weight comes across, I then bring the hips down. When I'm at the bottom of this squat, ideally knee tracks in line with the toe. The heel is down, chest is up, this leg is extended, and you might find the adductor and the medial hamstring here feel very tight and like you want to explode. That's okay. Go as low as you comfortably can. If you find it's easier to hold on to a weight or a small cat or something as a counterbalance, that's perfectly fine, but we are going to go from side to side in our Cossack squats. Adding weight if you want to, adding a counterbalance if you want to, or just keeping it with your body weight. Hamstring curls. We're going to do 45 seconds of hamstring curls. You can use many different objects to perform a hamstring curl at home. You could put your feet in your TRX straps or even in the straps of your rings. You could have like a shiny dinner tray on a carpet. You could have furniture sliders on a hardwood floor. I am going to use a Swiss ball. With the Swiss ball, just like the TRX, because it's mounted, it likes to wiggle around a little bit, so it gives a little bit more of a stability challenge to it. Either way, what I should be thinking about when I'm doing my hamstring curls is bridging the hips up, squeezing the glutes. I then pull the heels into the bum and making sure I'm feeling a nice big hamstring contraction as I'm performing those for 45 seconds. So of course, if you don't have a Swiss ball, if you don't have a TRX, whatever it happens to be, you can do Romanian deadlifts. So of course, different type of hamstring work. In the hamstring curl, we are working on knee flexion with the hamstring, and with the RDL, we're looking at hip extension with the hamstring. So two different types. Neither is wrong, just a different way to approach it. Of course, if I'm doing an RDL, whether it's with dumbbells, barbells, sandbag, whatever it happens to be, I should be focusing on that hip coming back, big hip hinge, feel the hamstring stretch, and then from there, big glute squeeze at the top. Load the hamstring, load the glute, keeping the spine nice and neutral, 45 seconds of either hamstring curls or Romanian deadlifts. Oh hello, it's conditioning time. In our conditioning piece today, we are going to do 4 rounds. In each round, we have these 4 exercises, and for each of the exercises, we're going to be doing 30 seconds of work, and then a 15-second transition to the next exercise. So if I go through these very quickly, we're going to start with high knees. High knees can be done with body weight or a skipping rope. We're going to be going fast for 30 seconds, and then take a 15-second break before I come into air squats, or body weight squats as they're known, going through the fullest range of motion possible. We're going to be moving with purpose, seeing how many reps we can do. We then rest for 15 seconds, 30 seconds of mountain climbers. We're going to talk about what is a good range of motion for your hips to play around with. Again, once mountain climbers are done, 15 seconds, and then I get to decide between ball slams, if I have a ball to slam, or is it going to be a tuck V-up, another movement that's based on hip flexion, or closing the hip explosively. So, we're going to do these 4 things 4 times for a powerful 12-minute conditioning piece. Let's take a look. With our first exercise, we are going to do high knees. So normally things like high knees or jumping jacks are an alternative if you don't have a cardiovascular machine or you can't get outside to run. Doesn't matter, everyone's going to do them today. We're going to do high knees. All I'm looking to do is think about elbow drive and knee height. So I want to move contralaterally, which means opposite hand and opposite elbow are moving at the same time. So if we can, knees high, and I'm just trying to move as fast as possible for 30 seconds. And of course, if you can't do it on the floor, actually well, everyone can do it on the floor, if you want to, you can of course use a skipping rope instead. It looks a bit like this. With the air squat or bodyweight squat, just a great chance to show everybody how wonderful and deep your air squats are. We set our feet up, trying to bring the hips as low as possible while maintaining a good postural position. We are going to move with purpose. It's only 30 seconds, let's get a lot of work done. When it comes to mountain climbers, a lot of the decision making when it comes to where your feet are going to go is going to be based on hip flexibility and mobility. So you can start off with a gentle mountain climber, which is basically being in a plank. I bring my knee into my chest. You can bring the knees in and just do a little jump. And then from there, if you're feeling very dangerous, knee up by the elbow, you can go from side to side. Whichever you do a lot, it's only 30 seconds. When it comes to the ball slam, we are looking for explosive hip flexion. So think we are chopping down the tree, we are slamming the sledgehammer. That's what I'm trying to replicate with my ball slam. So I'm starting to open the hip and open the shoulder first, and I'm looking to close the hip and close the shoulder on the way down. So I reach up, slam down, and ideally when we slam that ball down, we've got a nice postural position. I don't have the back rounded. So if we can, I can do 30 seconds of ball slams, or I can do 30 seconds of tuck V-ups. So if you don't have a slam ball, tuck V-ups is a great option. I'm still doing that explosive hip flexion. I'm just trying to bring my chest up towards my knees. I'm trying to bring my knees towards my chest. We start with the hands on the floor, feet on the floor. I come up into that boat pose position, and then I come apart. We come in, I come apart, in, and apart. I'm trying to be a little human accordion. So for our conditioning piece today, we are doing 4 rounds. 4 exercises. For each exercise, 30 seconds of work, followed by 15 seconds of rest. We start with high knees. From there, we are going to do air squats. From there, mountain climbers. And from there, the choice between ball slams and tuck V-ups. Have a fun time. Let us know how you get on.